For nearly a dozen years, All My Children in CSI Miami's Eva LaRue and her daughter, Kaya, a young child at the time, were terrorized by a stalker. And as the FBI searched for years for the person behind it all, the stalker continually threatened unspeakable acts of violence. Now, Eva and her daughter are detailing their ordeal in a documentary, My Nightmare Stalker, the Eva LaRue story, streaming Thursday on Paramount+.
Dearest Eva, I think about you all the time. Once I you and your daughter, then I will kill you both. I am coming for you. No one can stop me.
Those words and those threats were absolute psychological terrorism.
And joining us now is Eva and Kaya. So thank you very much for being here, sharing your story. I can't even begin to imagine what you both went through. So what made this the right moment to tell your story?
Well, he was released from prison this time last year, and we also felt like, even though we went back and forth on whether or not we wanted to do the documentary, we really felt like the story was important because the two men who solved our case, the two FBI agents, Steve Kramer and Steve Bush, they created a brand new DNA technology called forensics genealogy technology, and that's what ended up solving the case. They solved the Golden State Killer case with it, and then because the FBI told them that it was not, it was a fluke, it was a one-off, it was not replicable, they picked up our case next because it was such a DNA-heavy case, and they were able to solve our case. After 12 years, they were able to solve our case in 2 weeks. So not only did they prove that their technology was replicable, but it ended up being a precedent-setting case for the FBI. It was the first ever adjudicated case for them with this forensics genealogy. And it really changed the future of law enforcement going forward, because there will never, ever again be a serial killer or a serial murderer, because they'll be able to catch somebody immediately. So we really felt like the whole story was important to tell.
And how
plus to take back our narrative, to take back our power in the situation, right? And finally speak about something that we hadn't spoken about in more than 12 years.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but how did living with this constant threat shape your daily lives? And what was the hardest part of this overall experience?
I think the hardest part of this overall experience is that I didn't think I was going to be able to keep my daughter safe. This started when she was 6 years old, and your only job as a parent is to keep your children safe, and you're not sure that you can do that. And it really, it completely rewires how you think. You are so hyper vigilant all day, every day for so many years. And, you know, Kaya grew up with this looming, it infused and informed her entire childhood, all of her formative years. She's dealt with a lot of anxiety and depression at times over it. I mean, it's been a real struggle for both of us in this time, but it's ultimately, doing this documentary has been incredibly healing and cathartic. So it ended up being a really good outlet for us.
And Kaya, how are you doing?
Currently, I am okay, but I mean, it's a lot of fear goes into doing these interviews, into doing this docuseries. Putting more light into it, when at the end of the day, you know, we wanted to kind of put it to the side and just have this chapter close. But like my mom said, you know, this is something that I've grown up with. This has been my entire adolescence, my childhood, my teenage years. And the anxiety I've dealt with, the depression, the paranoia, hyper-awareness is something that has seeped its way into my life in every way, in friendships and family and other relationships and my day-to-day and career, you know, and so it's been an interesting time trying to unroot that from who I am in my life now.
And your stalker went to prison but is now free. So how does this impact your mindset? How does this impact your current daily lives?
I don't think we will ever have the freedom to not be hypervigilant. We'll never be able to go back to the innocence of feeling safe, ever. So he got 3 years and we got life.
Yeah, just unimaginable. So what do you want viewers, especially women who may be experiencing stalking, to take away from this documentary? And what advice would you offer to those in a similar situation?
Well, that they're not alone, first and foremost. There are 13.5 million men, women, and children a year that are stalked. And here's the crazy statistic, is that even though this is considered like a crimeless crime because nothing has actually happened yet, 86% of the women murdered every year in the United States, 86% of them were stalked first. So we know that stalking escalates. It escalates to rape and it escalates to murder. And stalking is also a mental health issue because it's an obsession and it moves from one victim to another victim, and it escalates. So go to an organization called SPARC, S-P-A-R-C. It's a foundation where you can get more information and really arm yourself with your own information, be your own advocate. One of the best things they have on their website is a map of each state. So you can type in your state and you can find out what the laws in your state are around stalking, and also find some victim advocacy groups where you can get some help and some hope.
Okay, well, Eva and Kaya, once again, thank you so much for your bravery and your courage to share your story. My Nightmare Stalker, the Eva LaRue story, starts streaming Thursday on Paramount+.